So I'm here at the Pole House London with Tara Meyer and Melanie Irene. Melanie here just had a private lesson with Tara, and so I'm going to interview mostly Melanie about you. Not at all awkward. So Melanie, how did you first happen upon Tara however many years ago?
The very first year that I went to the CPFA competition, Tara came in second, I think, and did this like glorious ballerina dance, and I fell in love with her. And I've been in love with her ever since.
So how many times have you been able to either take her workshops or private lessons with her since?
This is my second private lesson with her, and I think I've done one other workshop with her.
Yeah, pretty much every time I come into Toronto, she's there.
Right. So obviously, not just coming from someone like you, but I'm assuming that there's a lot of repeat customers for your workshops and your privates.
Yeah, which is really nice because it's kind of like I know then that you guys actually like my workshops.
Several of my students in Detroit are like, you're their first impression of a pole celebrity, and several of them have ballet backgrounds, so it's just sort of a natural gravitation towards you.
Yeah.
You're about to meet one tomorrow.
Okay.
Do you have ballet background?
Yes.
Was that your natural gravitation towards her, or was it just a coincidence?
It might have been a natural gravitation, but also just like, not to make you awkward or anything, but like she's just so glorious on stage, right? It's that whole perfect.
We're still setting up here, so there's going to be noises. Yeah. I personally, the first time that I saw Tara perform was at PCS at the Arnold, and I knew of her from YouTube and the internet, and live obviously was a little bit more, not necessarily interactive, but like real, and so I was already blown away from what I'd seen on the competitions on YouTube, but in person, it was that much more magnificent to experience that. Do you feel the same? Yeah? Now, Tara, do you ever watch your own videos?
It might take me 2 months or 3 months to actually watch videos from my like competition. So say if I finish a competition, I cannot watch myself. I don't know, there's just something where I get nervous watching myself, and I feel I'll always pick out something that wasn't right.
So you'll be your harshest critic?
Yeah.
One of the things that is sort of a curse for that exact thing is that we know what we meant to do.
Yeah.
And so you'll be able to critique yourself in a way that the audience wouldn't, because you did something cool. And even though it may not be what you meant to do,
Yes.
the audience is like, wow, great, she totally did that on purpose. And in your head, you're like, damn it, how did I miss that?
Yeah.
Right?
And then that's why it's like I can't even watch my video. Like for some examples like that. But then now I can go back to like, I don't know, for example, like 2014 when I was at the Worlds in London, England, I'll go back and be like, oh, like it's a memory that you're like, oh, that was me, but it doesn't seem like me. So I can more appreciate it than when it's a fresh competition and being like, oh, that move or something like that.
Which brings me to my next question. Have either of you noticed a progression in her style throughout the years? And then also, Melanie, have you noticed one on your own throughout the years by watching videos from the past? We'll start with Tara.
Oh, like for myself,
Mm-hmm.
I always try to make my performances different. So, for example, like when I first started, it was, yes, I had the more dance background, but then the 1 year that I won Canadians, I came out being like totally kind of different, more edgy and sharper and faster, which was kind of a challenge for me to like really get and pick up and stuff, because I do have longer limbs, so for me to go fast is a little bit of a challenge, but I wanted to do something different that people hadn't seen me do before and just try to grow. I always want to try to grow. I'm always trying to even take as many workshops if I have the opportunity to do, even though people are like, why are you taking workshops? It's because I feel like you can never stop learning. Like you can just always learn more and more and more, and I just want to learn more and more and more.
And we'll come back to that exact topic in a second, but one quick follow-up for this one. even though you've tried different styles and some performances, have you seen your, shall we say, natural style progress? And it's not just its advancement, but it's, you know.
Yeah, I have. Lately this year especially, a lot of people have been approaching me to do projects with more of my ballet style and like the point and all of this stuff. So even though sometimes I felt in the past that I was like, oh, I need to do something different so that people don't get bored of me and always trying to reach for different things, I still am doing that, but at the same time now I'm more comfortable with myself and being like, you know what? Yeah, people notice me for my ballet and dance. Why am I trying to do something like completely different if that's what I'm like known for and people appreciate, and I still love doing that. So I'm getting more comfortable with kind of being like, okay, this is actually what my style is, instead of being like, I have to do something different because this is what I've done. So yeah, I'm trying to grow even more and more in that sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Melanie, for you, if you look back on videos from your past performances, and if you were to look at them chronologically in order, would you notice an evolution in your style?
Yes. So I started out similarly because I have the ballet background, so I very heavily relied on the ballet stuff. And I still kind of do for certain competitions just because it's my strength. It'll make me more comfortable on stage. And if I'm trying out new tricks or stuff like that, then it's nice to have something that I can work with. But definitely I've been working on adding in more accents, more strength to my actual dancing, not necessarily strength moves and stuff like that. And then away from competitions, I've kind of moved towards the exotic stuff. So like the higher heels, the better, smaller outfit, the better. It turns out it's a lot of fun, and it's a whole different way of moving, different way of flowing. And since I don't have necessarily, or until the last year, I didn't have a studio to train at, it was something that I could do nicely at home, where I can be high ceilings, and I could just, again, keep growing, keep progressing in something with what I have.
Pause for just a moment. So we magically rotated. So Melanie just mentioned that up until about a year ago, she didn't really have a studio to practice at least not with the high ceilings that she would crave and need. And yet here, we're at the Pole House, about to get ready for a performance. And here's how high these ceilings are. Hell yes. Okay, so now back to Melanie pertaining to Tara. Watching her videos throughout the years, not just since you were a fan, but even if like one came up from 2 years ago and you watch it again, do you feel that you noticed a progression in her style? And follow up, did you take inspiration from that progression specifically, or was it just entertainment that you would consider to merge with your own style?
Excellent question. I think definitely. So my probably first two performances that I saw of Tara were the 2013-2014 Canadians. So yeah, I did notice that big change, and yeah, it was definitely inspiring to me because it kind of similar to my style, and then sort of nice to see where you can grow within a year. Yeah. So yeah, I think so.
When Tara here mentioned a second ago about not necessarily progressing her style, but trying something different, it is noticeable to those of us who are fans of specific pole celebrities or just, pole friends who we watch their performances whenever they share on Facebook. It's sometimes obvious that they tried something different or that they did something different. And sometimes they nail it, sometimes they don't. Obviously, we love them regardless, but I've been seeing a lot more of that recently. Even a month ago at this other event, Vertical Love, David C. Owen, for the first time ever, I've known him for years, he did Sexy. And I think he nailed it.
Yeah.
But you could tell that it was out of his normal style. But, yeah, he definitely nailed it. And for your performances, the one that always sticks with me, and I think it's the outfit because of the colors you chose, it was sort of like not cobalt, opal, I think, at PCS in 2015.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's my go-to whenever I mention your name and somebody looks at me blankly because they're, a pole virgin, and I'm like, oh, honey, no, here's a YouTube link.
Yeah.
And I blame YouTube for me being able to share with people their future influences, such as my student that's going to take your workshop tomorrow. And the way that she found you, she saw you in person, but I'm sure that YouTube has allowed her to study your movement and find a familiarity with it, and probably a mentor. What is your favorite part about traveling to teach workshops in privates?
I would say, well, meeting all of these wonderful people, and when they do come back, like, it's kind of, I can see how they've progressed too, and it's really exciting for me just to see like how from a year that they've grown. But I just love seeing people, like, even if I give them a move and they don't get it right away, how like they keep like practicing and practicing, because I'm not one to be like, you better get this move today. Like, it's kind of like, I love throwing things and making, like, for today I gave you different combos, and then it was like, let's do it all together, and then you have like half a routine. But yeah, I just love like seeing how they pick up, or even I like seeing their own styles too with the movements that I give them, like how they can make it their own, which is kind of neat.
I have to relate to that. Recently, I was at a studio that wasn't my own, and I was just trying something, and somebody picked my brain, and then they tried it, and in my opinion, their first try was better than mine, and they even made it more efficient. They skipped the most painful part of the move, and I'm like, oh my God, I've got to try that.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, and you don't have to be specific, but I'm assuming you've learned from some of your students throughout the workshops.
Yeah, where it'd be like, oh, that actually looks cool, like your legs that way. And yeah, it's kind of neat just seeing the different like variations too that they kind of do.
Which brings me back to Melanie, of all the workshops and privates you've taken. Typically, I would assume that you have more control over what you're learning in the privates, but in the workshops, if they say, oh, hey, we're going to do chair spin today, and you're just like, I totally have chair spin, but then they show you something, you're like, oh my God, let me try that. Not exactly